What's up guys, welcome back into the channel. If you are new, thank you for stopping in today. So today we're going to be working on my dad's 2005 Chevy Colorado. He bought this off of one of his friends, had the motor replaced and rebuilt in it, and here recently, the last 2 months, it's had rough idle, loss of power and different stuff like that. He took it back over to the guy that changed, or swapped the motor I should say, and he hooked his scanner up. The scanner's a little outdated, so it was throwing a couple different codes. Two of the codes was the crankshaft and camshaft positioning sensors. We're not going to worry about those today. What I think it is, and what happened to my fiance's Jeep, was the ignition coils went bad going to the spark plug. So here in the TRQ box, we have all new spark plugs and ignition coils. We're going to be swapping onto the truck today. Fairly simple process. I know a lot of different vehicles are like this. We'll have to take a couple things off to get to them because they actually sit underneath the vortec, the 3500 plastic intake here. So we'll take this boot off, the actual plastic intake, and then we have to loosen these boots up. And like I said guys, the 5 ignition coils, because it is a 5-cylinder in this Colorado, are directly underneath. So we're gonna go ahead and get that taken off and then hopefully get this changed, and hopefully that solves the problem. If not, I guess we'll dive a little bit further and then check to see if one of those sensors is going bad. But for now, we're just gonna go ahead and open the box and get all these parts changed. Alright guys, so as you've seen in those last clips, we got the intake and everything off. There on the side you have two 10 mil bolts that you want to take out, and everything should pop off. Before we go ahead and change all the ignition coils, which like I said, they're right underneath the plastic intake, I went ahead and disconnected my negative battery terminal. In my case, it was a 13 mil. I got it taken off there, just pushed the cable aside. So now we're ready to go ahead and change each ignition coil. And all it is a little plug. You'll undo it, pinch it, and pull it off like such. And then there's a 10 mil bolt, as you can see where my finger is. You'll take it out, and then the spark plug is directly underneath. You'll want to get a spark plug socket, put it on your wrench, take the spark plug out, and it's easy. You don't have to change your spark plug when you change these, but it is recommended. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And the kit that my dad purchased has the 5 spark plugs and the ignition coils in it. So we're gonna go ahead and break all these free, change all the spark plugs. I'll give you a before and after on the spark plugs to kind of show how dirty they are and stuff, and we'll hopefully solve the problem. So I got my handy dandy spark plug socket guys. This is the 5/8 spark plug socket. I have my 2 extensions and then my ratchet here. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull this first spark plug out, and then I'll open up a new one, and we'll kind of compare them to see how dirty they are. And everything that my dad ordered should be, spark plugs should be pre-gapped, so you shouldn't have to worry about anything there. This one should be out. Let me go ahead and grab one of these new ones, and you can tell already this one is pretty dirty. So let me grab a new one and I'll show you exactly the difference between these guys. So obviously the dirty one is in the right hand, the clean one is in the left. Here we have the new ignition coil. I'm just gonna go ahead and compare the new versus old to make sure we have the correct ones. When Dad ordered this, I kind of sent him the link. So everything should be the exact same. We'll get this opened up here. Nice thing is they include a new bolt and everything with this one. I believe they are the same, so we should be able to drop this guy right in to the same spot, right in there like such. Tighten down the 10 mil bolt that is already in there, and then plug it up, and we'll just continue on from frontwards to the back. All right, guys, so we went ahead and got everything changed. Didn't film it all just because it's real repetitive, but whoever put the original or those original spark plugs that I pulled out, I'm assuming they used an impact gun because they are super tight. I'm pretty sure I pulled a muscle in my neck trying to break them free. I mean, they were in there. When I change spark plugs, I typically just hand tighten and that's it. I don't like to take a gun and shoot them on there. But we got everything changed. Everything is hooked back up. We're gonna go ahead and reinstall everything that we took off. So the boot here, the plastic intake that's down there, and then the little boot. I'll actually start with the little boot, slip it on, tighten it down, and then put the plastic cover back on and put my two 10 mil bolts in, and then we'll do this boot last. So we're gonna go ahead and get everything put on here, and then we'll tighten the battery cable down and fire the truck up. All right, guys, so when we were taking everything apart, I noticed this rubber grommet piece here, which slips on the intake. I'm assuming it's some type of EGR line, something to do with the fuel vapors and stuff. But the rubber grommet up here, as you can tell, has a little nick in it, and it was cracked, which relates to telling me that there was a leak. So we went ahead and put a little glue on there. It hooks here to the plastic intake, so it goes on like this, and then this smaller grommet piece goes down to this valve here and just slips on. So it's telling me that it's something to do with the fuel vapors, and it can actually cause a rough idle, to believe it or not, if you do have an air leak through one of these rubber grommets. So that's a big thing. If you guys are working on a project and you're having a rough idle or something like that, you want to check to make sure you have no blown hoses or anything, because it can cause an issue like that. So like I said, we went ahead and glued it, and it could have been as simple as this. So we're about to find out. I'm going to slip this back on, connect the battery cable again, the negative battery cable, and then we're going to fire it up, and hopefully everything runs smoothly. All right, guys, so we went ahead and started it up, and it's still doing the rough idle, so it's leading me to believe cam or crank sensor. I'm going to try and get my buddy over here and hook his scanner up to it, and hopefully we can dig a little bit deeper into this. We can now check off the ignition coils and the spark plugs, which when they changed the engine, I'm assuming they probably pulled those ignition coils from the old ones and swapped them over. They kind of looked old and brittle. So I'm glad we went ahead and changed those, and that's the thing, my dad bought that whole kit, the spark plugs and the 5 ignition coils for 150 bucks. So it's not a huge thing. I know if you go to O'Reilly, you're looking at about 80 bucks a piece for those ignition coils. And I believe he got those off of Rock Auto or 1A Auto. I'd have to go back and check. But it was a whole kit for this truck and motor. So we can check that off. Hopefully we can narrow it down. I'll probably have a part 2 to this video once we figure out what it is. Get the scanner out here, get it hooked up. But until then, remember, learning as I do, doing I love on the GMN. I'll catch you guys in the next one.